Hey there! A friend and fellow fountain pen enthusiast lent me a bunch of Sailor pens, and among them, I'm sorry, I have a bit of a cold, guys. Among them was this pen, and this pen, Sailor is one of the focuses in his collection, so you've probably seen these boxes before. I've reviewed some Sailors, and in here is a Sailor Pro Gear. Now this is not just any Pro Gear. This is the Pro Gear Piccadilly Knight. Now, when it comes to Pro Gear, there's a few things you have to understand. There is the Pro Gear or Professional Gears, that's these pens, and then there is the Professional Gear Slim, aka Sapporo, which is, it looks very much like this, except it's a little smaller and a little thinner. Alright, but this is a regular sized Professional Gear, and it is the Piccadilly Knight. For some reason I forget Knight. Somehow Circus overrides Knight in my head. Okay, what I'm going to do, cover the parts of the pen, tell you what I like about it, what I don't like about it, and then I'll do a writing sample. Now, if we start here, Sailor typically has these finials with a little anchor. It's their logo, Sailor, established 1911, etc. You have a clip. This is a pretty usable but tight clip. You have the cap. You can see that this pen is bicolor. It has a clear cap and a red barrel and a red end cap finial there. On the center band here, I don't know if you can read it, but it says Sailor, Japan, founded 1911. Okay, you can see the red section through the cap, and then you have this barrel, and through the barrel you can see the converter. At the end there is nothing, just a bit of redness. The cap unscrews, and then you have this pen. Sailor is not known for its giant pens, I think. Most of them I've used, even the 1911 large, I would say are normal size or even small sized pens. This is no exception. You have the famous 21 karat gold nib. As far as I know, Sailor is the only brand that does 21 karat nibs. I've only seen 14, 18 in other brands. And this is not plated, this is actually solid gold, and it is a two-tone nib. I don't know how well you can see that, but it is a two-tone nib. And this particular nib is a hard medium. It says 1911, it has the anchor on it, 21K or 875 for the gold content. And I was just doing a quick calculation in my head, but yeah, I think that should be true. That should be right, yeah. And then we have Sailor, and that's it. And then you have nice bit of scroll work in a gold band. The pen is filled by a standard Sailor converter, but of course you can also put in a cartridge by Sailor if you want, but they are proprietary. And then you have this section, very simple. It tapers down and flares out just a little bit. Okay, now if you were to use this, you have a small pen, and if you post it, you have a, I would say, more normally sized pen. Now, what do I like about it, what do I not like about it? One of the interesting things about Sailor, I think, is that their nibs are exceptionally well tuned. I am yet to see a Sailor that has issues out of the box. That is very impressive, because a lot of manufacturers these days churn out nibs that are just not that great. So that's very neat. The red and transparent color scheme, I think it works. I don't know what this really has to do with Piccadilly Knight, but I'm assuming it's something with neon signs, etc. And I think, you know, this is not really the colors I think of when I think of Piccadilly. Now, I don't know if there is an area called Piccadilly in a Japanese city I'm unaware of, then I'm just oblivious, that's fine. When I think of Piccadilly Circus in London, I think of white, because in my recollection, the first thing you see when you get out of the tube, the subway, is big, white, old Victorian buildings. But, as I said, I have a cold, so I may be slightly delirious, I don't know. In any case, or maybe this is supposed to be the white, I don't know. Who am I? Don't listen to me. Now, it feels nice. That is something I wanted to emphasize. This is a 315 US dollars MSRP, so on the street a little less. It's currently discontinued, I believe, but so called about a $300 pen. It's small, it's plastic, but made of plastic, but it doesn't feel cheaply made. Some plastic pens feel really cheap. This does feel like a nice, decent plastic, which is good. Not something that you would crack if you just look at it the wrong way. So I like that. I like the fact that it posts well, because I really require that to write. I cannot write with it comfortably unposted. It's too small, too light for me. So that I like. The thing I don't like so much, and I've said that before in Sailor reviews, is it's a great pen. It's a great eye for detail. The nib writes beautifully. There's no issues there, but the ink capacity is very small. Now this is a regular Sailor medium. Japanese medium means it writes approximately like a Western fine, and it writes fine. It writes, there's no issues. But with such a small cartridge or converter for that matter, you run out of ink quickly. And if you do a lot of writing, if for example you are a student or someone in a job who has to write a lot, I think you will find yourself running out of ink a lot. Because I did, definitely. Just playing around with this, you sit around, you fiddle around with half an hour, half your converter is gone. So that for me really is an issue, and I would really like to see Sailor do more piston-filled pens. Some of their pens are very expensive, and almost all of them are cartridge converter filled pens. So I think that is something Sailor could work on, because if this would be a small piston filler, it would be a little bit like a TWSBI in looks as well, I guess, but the nib is infinitely higher quality than anything TWSBI will ever put out, I think. It just writes perfectly well, and it feels very, very nice and smoothly. I'm sure I'm going to get flamed for that comment, by the way, but in any case, it's very interesting, and I think it's an interesting pen to check out. If you like somewhat smaller pens, you're looking for something portable, but also something that's very high quality, you could do a lot worse than get this. So, Marco, thanks a lot for lending me this. I'm going to give you a couple of measurements, and then we're going to do a writing sample. The weight of the pen is 24 grams, the cap is 8, the body is 16 grams, the capped length is 128.5 millimeters, that's 5.06 inches. Uncapped length is 115.7, that's 4.55 inches. Posted length is 149.1, that's 5.87 inches. Barrel diameter 11.1 to 13.2 millimeters, that's 0.43 to 0.52 inches. Section diameter 10.3 millimeters to 11.5 millimeters, that's 0.40 to 0.45 inches. Okay, hope this was useful so far. Let's look at the writing sample, and I'll gladly see you later. Bye bye. Okay, so here we go with the Sailor Pro Gear Piccadilly Night. Piccadilly Night. The nib is medium. That's HM for what I still assume is hard medium. And the ink is Ackerman Royal Blue. This is very weird. My apologies. I have a cold. Now then, writing. Smooth. You probably hear some feedback. And there is a very fascinating feeling to writing with this nib. It's the lazy dog. It's a feedback in a very pleasant manner. It doesn't detract from the smoothness. I just really like the way this writes. Now, if we do some fast writing, what you see is that the feed is really nice, very well tuned nib, no skipping whatsoever. Okay, the wetness of this nib, it's definitely pretty wet, and as to the line variation, you can see you can definitely squeeze out some. Now, of course, I'm going to be extra careful here not to spring this nib, but you can definitely squeeze some out. As to reverse writing, for those of you who enjoy that, you get a very, I would say, an extra fine line. Now, I have to say, for a Japanese fine, I find this nib to be a little on the broad side, so I would say this is a decent, maybe slightly skinny Western medium, but it's not as bad as some other Japanese nibs I have seen. Okay, so thanks a lot to the kind person who lent me this pen. I hope this was useful, guys, and I'll gladly see you later.